Frostfell is quickly approaching, or maybe you've got a special occasion coming up for that #1 EverQuest fan in your life, or maybe just for yourself, and you're looking for that special gift idea. Well, the EverQuest Show is here with our Gift Ideas Special. All right, let's start with the easy stuff first. There's a wide array of items that were produced over the last 20 to 25 years from the golden age of EQ that can still be found for sale today. Probably the easiest EverQuest gift and the most readily available are books. The official player guides are always full of fun information and lore, though some of the information may be outdated on some of the quests and game information. Of course, these mostly look good on a shelf, or you can thumb through them for the nostalgia. And for the literary fans of EverQuest, there are a series of novels available in the EverQuest universe as well. Fiction, full stories in either comic book version or in novels. One was produced in hardcover, and that's The Rogue's Hour. To be honest, it's not a bad read, although not my favorite of the entire series. There are 3 paperback novels, Truth and Steel, The Blood Red Harp, and in my opinion the best of the series, and that's The Ocean of Tears. This book is going to come with a great deal of original game lore, places that you're going to recognize, and NPCs you'll find in the game. Now when it comes to comic books, there are essentially 2 to choose from, although we'll get into the third in just a moment. EverQuest Transformation, it's full of dark elves and ogres. It's beautifully illustrated, though I'll admit I'm not a fan of the style of the elf ears. It just doesn't match the game. Now, Ruins of Kunark, this is an amazing comic book. It's got artwork by Jim Lee. It features very memorable characters that rose to prominence in some of the expansions you'll know, like House of Thule and the Darkened Sea. Characters like Firiona V, Thuber Axbringer, Al-Kabor, Veneral Sather, and many more. Now, there are a couple of other lesser-known comic books. EverQuest Accounting is one. It's a smaller version, but it kind of recounts a noob's tale. It even includes Lockjaw and some specters in Oasis. This comic came inside the EverQuest Gold Edition 10, so if you picked that up, you probably have a copy of this in there as well. Still some of my favorite pieces of swag. This one is very rare. It's an EverQuest Online Adventures comic book, and I've got a link to that article with all the details on all EverQuest comics on EverQuestShow.com. But by far the most popular books are the EverQuest role-playing game guides. We covered those right here on the EverQuest Show. I love these books. They've got tons of information, tons of lore, although not all of it is canon, plenty of illustrations, many in full color, as well as tons of creature details, adapting EverQuest's 50 base levels to the standard 30 of RPGs and sort of adapting the D20 mechanics, but also having mana cost. But just like any role-playing game, like in Dungeons & Dragons, you have your core set of books. We have a player's guide, a game master's guide, and a monster manual. Monsters of Norath is what it's called. Now, if you're going after these for your EverQuest collection, start here with the core books. They have some beautiful illustrations, full color in the first 3 set of books. There's some great story and lore, and they're just fun to thumb through. After that, there's the Luckland set and several Realms of Norath books detailing adventures set in places like the Feydark, Everfrost, or Solus XI. Altogether, there were 15 books for the EverQuest role-playing game, and 2 for the ill-fated EverQuest 2 version that didn't really see much traction. There was even a Temple of Solus Ro book that mainly had quests, just like the Zone, and it even came with a mini Dungeon Master screen that had all of the stats along with it. It's got all kinds of cool information on the backside if you wanted to be a GM, mana recovery, for example, actions in combat, weight limits. If you're an EverQuest collector or an EverQuest fan, I highly recommend you get these. They're fun to look through, they're a great read, and you can usually find them pretty cheap at an online auction site like eBay, or check your local game store. Sometimes they have some used book sections or even a used bookstore as well. Occasionally you can pick up a few at a very discounted price, but don't expect your normal tabletop game to skip out on their 5th edition in favor of the EverQuest RPG. Another nice must-have is the Maps of Mirror's Atlas that came out with Planes of Power. There are also a few other rarer books around, like the 10th Anniversary book or the Legend of Norath art volumes, but you may pay a hefty price tag for them. And any must-have for any EverQuest fan are the EverQuest action figures that were made available back in 2000, and we covered these right here on the EverQuest Show. Now, the first series of EverQuest action figures was released in 2000 with a total of 9 figures in Series 1. The original series consisted of 2 different trolls, Shaman and Warrior, 2 different Ixar, Necromancer and Warrior, 2 different Dark Elves, Magician and a Wizard, and 2 Gnolls, a Split Paw Gnoll and Grinix Mucktail. I guess one is the placeholder and one is the named.
Anyway, and finally in the original series, there was a Creatures of Norrath set. It included ghoul, froglocks, snakes, spiders. It's basically all NPCs. Now these are really cool. They're posable, they're fully articulated, they've got some really neat accessories depending on which one you have. They have cool things that you'd find in the game, robes and steins and swords and shields. Also in Series 1, there were 2 exclusive figures released, a Troll Shadow Knight for the Toy Vault Toy Club, and a Dark Elf Heretic exclusive for Electronics Boutique. Yeah, do you remember Electronics Boutique? Yeah, I miss them too. Now, Series 2 only brought 3 additional action figures into the set, but they had slightly different, more deluxe packaging, and each one of them had a special name, a special character within the lore of Norrath. Danik Dorantat, the Ixar who was commanded by Veneral Sathir to kidnap Firiona V. You know that old chestnut. If you don't, go check out the Ruins of Kunark lore. It's also in the Ruins of Kunark comic book that we covered right here on the EverQuest Show. Now the second of the deluxe figures is Valai Kalzal, and I'm completely making that pronunciation up. By the way, if she looks familiar, she's on the original EverQuest art. And finally, there's a kitty from Shadows of Luckland, Jarul Maris. Now it brings the total up to 14, but many of you also have the Firiona V action figure that came with the Planes of Power deluxe box. She came also with the Life Guide, although I have no idea where I've misplaced that. That's how we got into the Ruins of Kunark mess to begin with. And that brings the total up to 15 fully articulated, posable action figures for you to play with. I mean, to display prominently while you grind XP. Fun. He kind of looks like Veneral Sathir, doesn't he? That robe.
And while in-store box versions aren't really produced anymore, these are still desired. Most contain some type of promotional item, physical map, keychain, or collectible, not to mention, assuming the expansion key hasn't been used, in-game items may still be claimable. Of course, there are a wide variety of lesser-known promotional items or items from fanfares or SOE Lives. Those are even rare and will cost you if you can find them, but if the recipient of your gift is a die-hard collector, you may want to check to make sure they do or do not have it before you drop any money on it. Alright, so you may be asking yourself, where can I find these items? Well, check the usual spots. eBay and Amazon, they usually have hundreds of items, but a couple of cautions for you. Recently, prices have been significantly overinflated on most EQ items, and be aware of unofficial sites as there have been a significant number of scams out there. And occasionally you can go to your used bookstore or thrift store and find some EverQuest treasures. I happened to find this copy of EverQuest Omens of War in a used bookstore for a few dollars, and I wanted it because it had the keychain I was missing. EverQuest art is one of the most sought after collector's pieces, especially the Keith Parkinson lithographs. Keith passed away in 2005, but the official prints are still available for sale from his website. That artwork, especially a limited number of prints, can have a higher price tag. And I've provided that link to Keith Parkinson's website in this video. Well, all the things I've mentioned so far are more collectible items, things that have already been produced over the past 20 to 25 years of EverQuest history. But what about something new or tailor-made? Well, here's some ideas for you. Online print shops are everywhere now and offer just about everything you can possibly think of. I've used Amazon Print because I like their service built into Amazon Prime and your Amazon photo storage. You can order photo prints or have custom items made like shirts, mouse pads, mugs, even Christmas ornaments. But I just want to caution you on one thing. This isn't a big deal for making your own personal items or gifts, but mass producing for resale is a big no-no when you're dealing with copyrighted material. Amazon Prints doesn't have as extensive a product list as some of the larger print services, but the items I've had printed have had decent color and the quality and price is pretty reasonable. 3D printing has also become very popular, but finding the EQ 3D print files can be difficult. I'll admit I'm not as familiar with 3D printing, but I always have people asking where I got the wizard spires that I display on the EQ show set. The truth is, I had an EQ fan make them, and I paid well for them. Well, if you're the crafting type, why not make your own gift? Possibilities are only limited by your imagination, but here are a few that I've drooled over in the past. The cloth maps of Norrath can always be nicely framed or displayed, but they can also be used to make other items. Check out this pillow made from one of those cloth Norrath maps. And this Twitter user posted an EverQuest map that was used as a lampshade. That's pretty clever. And remember Gendark from Season 1 of the EverQuest Show? Check out this EverQuest art project he made using thousands of Lego pieces. Well, maybe you're not a trade skiller, but would like an EQ crafted item. Check out Etsy, there's always a number of EQ items posted. There are light up signs for each class, and one clever woodworking user has recreated a lot of the original city signs in real life. I've received a few made items myself over the years, including some wonderful t-shirts and sweatshirts. These were made from a local t-shirt print company, but you could also go the iron-on decal route if you're feeling crafty. And most of us spend so much time in-game. What about in-game gifts, you may ask? Well, outside of Chrono, gifting official Daybreak cash isn't an easy option. However, there are a couple of things in-game you can gift. The latest expansion packs, for example, have Friends and Family editions, which do have tradable items. And specifically in EverQuest 2, you can gift items to players within the marketplace.
If you want to send someone a gift on the marketplace, all you do is you go to the actual item that you want to purchase, and there should be a button there that just says gift.
While it won't be an option for Frostfell in 2022, EverQuest 2 is expecting to launch a new official swag store. According to the roadmap laid out by the team, an official merch store is coming, but it had to be delayed due to supply chain issues. And EverQuest Show episodes will return soon, but I hope you enjoyed this special gift idea edition. Be sure to subscribe while you're here and comment below if you have additional ideas or comments on what you've seen. Good luck in your quest for the perfect holiday or special occasion gifts, and have a happy Frostfell. Thank you for watching.